All right, we are rolling now. Counting us down. 3, 2. You're listening to Missing Out with Lex Michael and Tauri J. Let's start the show. Hey there, Missketeers. Welcome back to Missing Out. I am Tauri J.
I am Lex Michael.
And if this is your first time listening, what we do here is we introduce each other to different media, whether it be movies, music, television, spoken word, books, experiences, things that have built us up as people, and we hope that in sharing it, it builds you up. We are the retrospective that's introspective.
Tauri, let's do our ABBA show.
Hell yeah, mamma mia! It's gonna be a good show! But it wouldn't be a good show without our good friend, Caprice Castano! Hello! Yeah!
It's great to be back again!
Yeah, great to have you. So you brought this movie to us. So hey, why don't you pitch it? If someone's on the fence and they're like, what's this? Why should I watch this Queen of the Desert movie? Let them know.
It is a beautiful romp about 3 drag queens traveling across Australia's outback. That's all you need to know. That's it.
All right, yeah, I'm sold.
Okay, good. You should be.
Wow. This movie is starring Terrence Stamp, Hugo Weaving, Guy Pearce, Bill Hunter. This is an Australian film, really, I feel, groundbreaking for its time, depicting LGBTQI individuals in a positive light, showing their struggles, letting people empathize with the things that they go through, and letting people see them as people, which I thought is great. Lex, have you seen this before?
I had never seen it. I knew it only by reputation, so I was very much looking forward to an opportunity to finally catch up with it. And yeah, I was struck, Tauri, by the aspects that you were just referring to, but also, while the movie is very funny and does play up, sort of the more outlandish aspects of their act, the act that these characters put together. It's also very surprisingly tender and very surprisingly human. And I was very much struck by those elements as well. I thought this managed to be, yes, very fun and very lively and very entertaining and very humorous, but also very affecting in ways that I was not necessarily prepared for. And it got me all emotional. I like to know at about 9 a.m. if I'm going to have to feel anything that day, and I was not prepared for this. It really got me, but I thought this was great. Coming to it new, I was able to have sort of this really fresh, interesting, and very moving experience with
That makes me so happy. This is one of my all-time favorite movies, and anytime anyone says, "Oh, have you seen Tu Wong Fu?" and I'm like, "Nah, it's not about Tu Wong Fu. It's about Priscilla," because Tu Wong Fu is just a massive ripoff of this movie with not the heart and not the actual kind of grit that this movie has.
Damn, hot take about Tu Wong Fu.
Yeah, boo, Tu Wong Boo.
Oh damn.
No, it's still fun. It's still fun, but it's just this movie touches on more of the reality. In Tu Wong Fu, everyone is in drag the entire time. They're not real people. They're just
Right.
these characters, and it's just kind of, I don't know. This is not as good.
Yeah, I get that. I haven't seen Tu Wong Fu, so I can't make the comparison.
Ah.
I will say, I know that they were made around the same time. So Priscilla, Queen of the Desert was released in 1994. Tu Wong Fu was released in 1995. There was some worry by Stephen Elliott, who wrote this film, that, they were going to be a competition. But he read the script and was like, it's different enough. And I assume that his thoughts were yours, which was like, their shit's scratching the surface. I'm getting that deepness.
And honestly, I mean, it's 3 well-known American actors in drag going across country for a show. It's not that different.
Uh-huh.
In Tu Wong Fu, they go to a town and like make all the women pretty. It's very strange. Like, I don't know. It's very weird. But I would still, I mean, it's still fun. I would check it out, especially
Right.
after seeing this.
But only after seeing this. If you haven't seen Tu Wong Fu, watch Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and then watch Tu Wong Fu.
I would say.
That's the take. If you take nothing else away from this episode, it should be that.
Also, I promise I will bring a movie that doesn't have Guy Pearce in it one day.
All
No.
movies have Guy Pearce. You can't always see him. It's true. You cannot always see him on screen, but Guy Pearce is there. His energy infuses the very craft of cinema itself.
I mean, this is one of the first ones that you brought that wasn't either immensely gothic or super dark. That's a thing.
Pretty extreme in the opposite
Yeah.
direction. You are seeing the full spectrum of my
Totally.
personality now.
You contain multitudes.
No one gets turned into a walrus in this movie, which was actually my one disappointment. I went in hoping for some walrus violence and got none.
Well, at the end, we have some animals. We have dragons and
Yeah, it's some birds.
birds. So I don't know. I'm sorry, no walrus,
Yeah.
but
I mean, one could say that the tour bus is like a walrus. You know, it started out as this metal machine and then gained some like flavor and flesh tones to it, like a nice lavender coat. That was like being turned into a walrus.
Is that your breakdown of the plot of Tusk? It's the story of a man who is hollowed out and filled with flavor.
Yeah,
oh my
basically. He breaks down multiple times and has pieces of him removed and replaced with other pieces, and eventually becomes the thing that you want, or the thing that someone wants them to be. Same movie.
That's right. That explains the classic Justin Long line from Tusk, which is, "I have a tanning bed inside me."
Yes.
It's just so sweet how hard you're trying to make this comfortable for Lex. Like, he can't watch a movie unless you can compare it to Tusk in some way. It's very sweet.
Tusk is his, like, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. You always have to bring it back around to Tusk.
Where the fuck is my walrus man?
So,
I can see that on a shirt.
Where the fuck is my walrus man?
Yes.
Let's make them. It's not too late. It is not too late for us to have merch.
that's true. It's never too late to have merch.
I like it. And it's just like you. It's like you with popcorn, like angry as like a cartoon sitting in a theater, just like a thought bubble.
I have the popcorn, but I'm like shaking the popcorn angrily at whoever I'm demanding the walrus of, and it's flying all over the place. I'm completely unawares,
Yes.
preoccupied as I am with my pursuit of walrus man footage. We'll just splice some in, honestly. Like, that's where it goes eventually, is that, like, to preserve my feelings and my well-being, Tauri uses some kind of predictive software to guess what I'm going to be watching that day, then slips in and edits about a minute of walrus footage into the movie. Just cuts like
Yes.
Justin Long in the
like
suit
it.
from Tusk into, like, so I'm watching Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and, like, Guy Pearce is like, okay, we're going to do our ABBA show now. And then all of a sudden it cuts to the walrus man being like, and I'm like, this movie's fucking good. Twists and turns. They're melding tones together in ways that I did not anticipate. Oh, shit. And I feel better. And it keeps me from having, it keeps me from disassociating. Because if I go too long without seeing a walrus person, I start to feel fear. I'm like, is it ever going to be okay again? And then I see the walrus man, and I know that at least for now, it is.
Yeah, because I would say like the last time I saw you, you had just witnessed the walrus man, and I've never seen you happier. So I get it.
It's the giddiest I've ever been.
Right.
I think.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only had I just seen the walrus man, I was talking to more than one other person who can confirm that, in fact, I did see the walrus. And that they saw it too. Welcome back to part 2 of our Tusk podcast.
Psych.
We had to take some time.
And since then, Lex has been slowly turning himself into a walrus. And so it's also a projection of his own insecurities about his incomplete transformation. And so he's screaming at the screen, but really he's screaming at the mirror, going, "Where's the walrus man? Where is the walrus man?" And it's inside you the whole time.
Because I was hollowed out and filled with flavor.
Of course.
It's like I wake up one morning, I'm like, oh my God, where's my leg? Oh, that's right.
Filled with flavor. Yeah, this is very I like this premise. It's very Human Centipede 2, right? Where the person watched the movie and then let's make it, Lex. Tusk 2. You want the walrus man inside of you. Whoa, wait a minute.
Well, it's good.
That's the title. I like to think that Kevin Smith would find that funny enough that he would not sue us.
Oh, no.
I'm choosing to believe that.
Yeah.
He'd be like, I just want producer credit.
Yeah, just put my name on it somewhere, but somewhere small.
Yeah. Meet me at Veggie Grill.
Like, I don't want anyone to think that this was me or I had anything to do with this, but I do want my taste.
Yeah, you got to get that back end. Speaking of back end, I think we should start moving this towards the back end of the podcast by starting to lower down that spoiler wall. So we're slowly cranking the handle to lowering that physical spoiler wall. So if you haven't seen any Priscilla, The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and you super duper want to go in as unspoiled as possible, then this is your chance to jump off. You can catch it on Tubi TV. It is also available on Amazon. I'm sure that you could get a dope-ass Blu-ray somewhere. Lex, did you get a dope-ass Blu-ray? That sounds like something you do.
You know what? I haven't yet, but it's entirely possible that I will. I got to look at what physical releases of this movie are available. But as I mentioned, I enjoyed this quite a bit.
Yay.
And I was quite taken with the characterizations and the performances of the leads. And this is very much a movie that I would revisit. So it is entirely possible that I will, in relatively short order, own a copy of this.
Hell yeah. So get it in your brain, and then you can come back and listen to us talk about all the stuff. Unless you'd like to power through, and then we will catch you after the break. In the meantime, while we're giving you time to reach for that dial, you can also go on to Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating, a review. That helps us get to the top of the charts, helps other people find us, because the most potent form of marketing is word of mouth. So use your typey fingers to tell people what you love about the show, and, give us a 5-star if you are feeling so inclined, because that is a kindness that we love. All right, now that that's all out of the way, we will catch you right after this break. And we are back. We're going to do some spoilers. We're going to do all the information. But you know what we got to do first, right? We got to do that Buster recap. And Lex, you said that you wanted to recap this so good, you were willing to drive across the country to do so. So let's hear it, baby. Entertain me.
Yes, I'm now hollowed out and filled with plot synopses. We open with Anthony Belrose, who goes by the name of Tick, but also goes by the drag pseudonym of Mitzi Delbras, played by Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving plays this drag queen in Sydney, Australia, and his estranged wife manages this hotel casino that he gets an offer to perform at. And so to put this act together, he gets a couple of his friends, fellow performers. One of them is a transgender woman named Bernadette, played by Terrence Stamp, who is mourning the recent loss of her partner, and Adam, who is played by Guy Pearce, who is super flamboyant, super energetic, super excited to be there. Also goes by the name Felicia Jolly Goodfellow, which is one of my favorite details from this motion picture. And they go on a journey together in a bus, which Adam names Priscilla, the Queen of the Desert. They go on this road trip to this gig. And so what we get is this nice sort of road hangout movie with these characters. And we travel with them as they go through the desert, meeting all these different characters. They meet a group of Aboriginal Australians, and they perform for them. They also bump up against a number of super regressively focused bigots, and they're on the receiving end of a bunch of abuse. But at a certain point, their tour bus breaks down, at which point Adam covers the outside with flavor, paints the thing lavender, and they meet this guy named Bob, who's a mechanic and a very nice man. He's a gentleman, one of the last of a dying breed, and he ends up joining them on their journey. And as they travel together, before they reach their destination, Tick reveals that even though he and his wife are estranged, they are still technically married, that the reason they're going to do this gig is sort of a bit of a kindness to her. Adam is almost killed by a roving band of demonic homophobes before Bob and Bernadette have to intervene. And, this entire time, Adam and Bernadette have sort of been at odds, because Adam is sort of like the young rapscallion who's just a little bit too gung-ho for his own good. And Bernadette is sort of on the other side of that, where she is carrying around the weight of years and the weight of sadness and loss and certain regrets. And they're able to, following this attack and their rescue of Adam, they are able to sort of come to a bit of a meeting of the minds, find some common ground together and mend some of those fences. They're all sort of able to come to a relatively healthy place of understanding with each other. One of the things that they're able to do as this sort of big climactic bonding experience is that they climb Kings Canyon in their full drag regalia, which was a dream that Adam had. So they arrive at the hotel, and you also meet, in addition to Tick's estranged wife, you meet his son, Benjamin, who he's not seen for a very long time. And Tick is terrified that if his son is exposed to his drag work, it could be very jarring for him. If he's exposed to the fact that, his dad is homosexual, maybe it's very jarring. Maybe his son will reject him for it. But he comes to discover, and I swear to God, this got me emotional, comes to discover that not only does his son already know this, but his son is completely on board and completely supportive. And so they do their show together, and once they've completed their show, Tick and Adam decide they're going to go back home, and Benjamin's going to come with them. And Benjamin ends up, when we end the movie, we have Tick and Adam performing together with Benjamin watching them and supporting his father from the crowd, which I thought was so dang sweet. And Bernadette decides that she is going to stay at the resort with Bob, with whom she is forging a connection, forging a relationship. And when we leave Bernadette, we do so with the hope that she can find something for herself that is more real, more fulfilling, more permanent, and more meaningful than what she has been experiencing up to this point, that no longer carries for her the same joy and same fulfillment that it once did. And I so wish her the best, because it really moved me a lot. So that is more or less, in a nutshell, the plot of The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Also, this soundtrack kind of rips. I forget that I'm an ABBA fan until I hear ABBA, and I'm like, oh, that's right. Look at my head go. Look at my head go in every which way. Look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Look at it.
That was a beautiful summary, Lex.
I had to ruin it at the end by being like, look at my head. But yes, it's a really nice story, and it's obviously we were just able to lay out the plot, but it's far less of a plot driven movie and way more of it's a hangout movie. It's a way to spend time with and get to know these characters, as opposed to something that's heavily driven by plot. Any plot is largely incidental to, let's spend time with these characters, let's get to know them, let's experience what they experience along with them, and let's revel in their successes and feel sadness along with them when things don't go particularly well. But yeah, not heavy plot, but very heavy on character. And these actors, man, we'll talk about these actors, but wow. Wow.
I mean, why don't we talk about the actors? Because this, for me, was the youngest I'd ever seen Hugo Weaving. My first exposure to him was The Matrix, and then I think after that he blew up and he was like, I'm an elf now, or he's like, I'm a racist red man face. And so,
wait, what's racist?
Oh, he was Red Skull in the first Captain America.
Captain America. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Righto.
Yeah. Caprice, how did you find this movie initially?
I've been a huge fan of drag for many years, and this is just in the ether. It's referenced a lot. The costumes are referenced a lot, and so it was something I had to see because it's always talked about, and that's how I found it.
Do you go to drag shows and stuff like that?
Yeah, when the world existed, I did go to a lot of drag shows. I like Drag Race. Yeah, just generally been a part of of that scene for 4 or 5 years now. I've actually done drag.
Oh, cool.
I've been a drag king before. My character is named Guido von Slacks.
All right.
And he's this like Italian like coke lord, like nasty 70s dude with like a big mustache and like gold chains, and yeah, it's great. It's a good time.
Yeah.
I don't, and I also like realized, I don't know what you guys think, but you know the like Bye Felicia thing? Do you think that came from this?
It came from Friday specifically.
Oh, did?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was like, when rewatching it today, I was like, is that part of this?
I mean, I will say that like there is a chance that, you know, the creator of Friday may have seen Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I believe that came out in 96. So there's a chance that he had seen it. I think that was F. Gary Gray, and was like, all right, I'm going to name this character Felicia just to like really have that be a super duper in joke. And then like 2 decades later, people were like, bye, Felicia. And he's like, haha, it has finally come to fruition.
That sounds great, but I really doubt that. But thank you for that.
You don't know.
It's true, I don't.
I mean, F. Gary Gray could have been like this movie won at Cannes or Cons. I don't know how people pronounce it because French is weird. And it also won an Oscar. So like F. Gary Gray could have been like, hell yeah, I love some drag shit. And then I doubt that, you know, now he's like, everyone's using my thing. But I'm sure that like there is a chance that he had seen it and been like, bye, Felicia, and been like, hell yeah, only my drag friends will know.
I mean, I like the idea of it, so thank you.
You're welcome. Lex, you had brought up the acting. So circling back around to that, I really enjoyed Terrence Stamp as Bernadette. I think that character really grounds the movie and really gives it a lot. Like, there's a lot of depth and a lot of like really grounded moments, but I also feel like that character has the biggest arc throughout the movie.
Yes, very, very much so. But also, I think it's worth noting that of our 3 leads, comparatively, Terrence Stamp was already a veteran. He had been working in film, television, and I believe theater since the 60s, if not earlier. And he, of the 3, I think at that point would have been the only one that was really known to American audiences because 10, 15 years earlier had played General Zod in the Superman movies. So he was a known quantity in a way that at that point, Hugo Weaving and Guy Pearce would not have been outside of Australia. And Terrence Stamp in this movie, again, like you were saying, I think is absolutely wonderful and makes Bernadette so incredibly human. And I think it is so, especially in 94, when the conversation surrounding transgender women was certainly nowhere near as nuanced as it is today. I think that they did a really incredible job creating a very tender human portrait of this character. But also, I think it's worth noting that were this movie made today, presumably it would not be Terrence Stamp or an actor like Terrence Stamp playing this role. Mm-hmm. I feel like this performance, this casting choice, I think, is very much a byproduct of the specific time and place in which the movie was made. But I think that the movie is all the better for it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yes, I think that if this movie was remade now, it would be portrayed by an actual like trans woman, and I think that would be great because I think that we've gotten to that point in our society where we're allowing the trans community to portray themselves on film, which is amazing, or digital if you want to be pedantic. But I also feel like, yes, I think that it was especially back then when it was believed in the film industry that playing someone in the LGBTQI community, that like it was basically career suicide. And all of these actors really put everything they had into this movie. And we've seen that like their careers have continued to flourish. So it did not have that effect that all of the fearful Hollywoody film types believed, because they're all assholes. So I'm glad that this movie was able to prove them wrong. Something fucked up about that, and this was in the trivia, so I don't know if it was true or not, but it is rumored that Terrence Stamp, when he was playing the character, his thought process was he's like, I'm playing a beautiful woman. But behind the scenes, the director told the costume designer to make him look as ugly as possible. I don't know what the reasoning was, and I don't know why, but like later he apologized for making that call, and it's weird. I want to know the background of that specific piece of trivia, but I do also feel like, you know, Terrence was fucking killing it as Bernadette. He was like, I'm fucking sexy.
Not for nothing. If that was the goal on the part of the director, yeah, I don't think that play was successful, because I think that Bernadette is quite, if I may say so, I feel like Bernadette is quite lovely and put together and almost regal in this movie. So I feel like if the goal was to sabotage the character aesthetically, it didn't work.
I agree.
Also, I just was looking up. So there was a musical version of it that came out in 2006, and Bernadette is still played by a straight man. Just saying.
Boo!
Just saying. So,
the entertainment industry is not perfect. We're working on it.
Yep.
And that's how I feel about it.
I just wanted to see. Just wanted to take a look. What I was really impressed with too with these actors is their lip syncing capability, which is like a huge part of drag performances, but it is very impressive how well they do and how well they perform.
Well, it's not just the fact that they're able to lip sync, but it's also the fact that the way they are controlling their breathing actually does make it seem like the sounds are emanating from them. Whereas if you're just lip syncing to something, like it's why if you're shooting a musical, they tend to really want the actors to actually sing on set, even if they can play a backing track for them, because it looks super weird when you're lip syncing and not breathing. So I do like that, yes, they are able to, and it makes sense that these characters would be very proficient in this way, but it's a detail that you really don't think about until it's not there. It looks very much like they're actually properly managing and controlling their breath while they lip sync as well. They're very good.
Yeah.
Like they put on it, not for nothing. Like the actors had to put on this show. They had to learn the routines and they had to be able to do it themselves. They put on a pretty great show.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're all like very entertaining performances and like beautiful costumes. Like every single performance in this movie is so fun to watch. Like the performance with the Aborigines is so incredible and so memorable. And like just that scene alone, and then there's like 5 more scenes like it. It's pretty insane.
Something I really liked about that Aboriginal scene, like when their bus breaks down, and essentially one of the campers comes across them and brings them in, and everyone's kind of just like hanging out by a fire and singing songs, and they're just pretty much accepted off the bat. And I love that because it's a reminder that, like, you know, the Aboriginal people in Australia at some point became oppressed because, you know, colonization, etc. And so like people who face oppression know what it's like, and so they're more open to accepting people who are seen as other. And I liked that moment in that, like, it wasn't a big deal. They were just like, hey, yeah, you're welcome. We love you. But I just remembered, jumping back to Bernadette really quickly, and this is more of a PSA, but at a certain point, 2 or 3 times, Adam dead names her. And if you're unfamiliar with the term dead name, it's that, like, when someone transitions from one gender to the other, you know, they will typically change their name. And it's a really big, shitty thing to do, to use their former gender name, you know, which is called dead naming, because that name is dead to them because they're not that person anymore. And in doing so, you are effectively rejecting who they are. And I know that, like, Adam's character doing it was just to get a rise, but it's not cool, and don't do that. This is your PSA. Don't dead name, you piece of shit. Or you good person. Thank you for not doing that.
I also like that it's not taken lightly as a joke. Like Bernadette like beats the shit out of him.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's amazing. Like it's even, you know, it's still like it's not made fun of that he does that, which I really appreciated.
So just that was the end of that little piece.
No, I like that. That's great.
But yeah, we were talking about their performances and them having to learn all those different routines. I imagine also like them having to just jump from different outfits to outfits was also really, you know, well, one, I assume it was super fun. but also like in their not final performance, but I guess their final performance together as a trio, the seamlessness of them transitioning from one set of outfits to the next was amazing. Just like there's a moment when they're all birds and then one of them goes backstage and then they become the dragons. And like I assume it's something you can only do on film because like it takes a while to switch up that makeup and all your outfits. But I thought that was super well shot.
Yeah, I love that like one of the, dragons pulls someone off stage and then they like comes out. It's like the dragon ate the bird. It's so good.
Uh-huh.
It's so fun.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and then the Marie Antoinette light up hair and it's so good. Ugh. I'm trying to think what the best costuming is. I don't know. I mean, I really like the like weird plastic look when they go into the first town and they all kind of like have plastic hair. Hugo Weaving has like a sandal dress.
Oh yeah.
I loved that. That is so great.
I think my favorite outfit / set piece was every time Guy Pearce's Adam does the opera from the roof of the bus.
Oh yeah.
And they have like the flowing, like the first one where it looks like it's essentially mercury that's flowing behind him, and the next time they do it, it's just like a red drape. Like that set piece to me is probably my favorite thing in the whole movie.
Yeah, it's so iconic.
Oh yeah.
That imagery is amazing. And also the blow up doll being used as a kite.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite little things about the movie is, and I only know this because I sat through the end credits to watch the drag performance that plays next to the scrolling credits. But there's that tiny little tag at the end of the movie where the kite finally comes down somewhere in Asia.
Oh yeah,
which I thought was a very nice little touch.
Yeah. So something that I have a question about that maybe you can't answer, Caprice, but maybe you can. What was the deal with the running lady with the little siren behind her?
I don't know. I think that's just kind of like an inside joke that like this one person is like going as fast as they are. Because you see it a few times.
Right.
I don't know. It's not really I like that it's not explained. It's just it's just part of it. I don't know, and I don't know what that robot is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was like, is this an alien? Like I got that like they are going at such a slow pace that this person on foot is essentially keeping pace and passes them up. But it's just like such a weird set piece. Like it's something that I would expect to see in like, I don't know, Rubber or like, I don't know, Dude, Where's My Car? Like something like that. But okay, so
it feels like an inside joke to me. I feel like also I was just thinking about when we were talking about the costumes that like they had to wear it didn't look cool out there. The temperatures didn't look nice for giant headpieces and stuff.
Right.
I'm wondering if like someone's brain melted a little bit in the writing process. It was like, I got a great idea, guys. Let's just have someone running by with a robot. And they're like, that's great. Let me take off my 50-pound flower headdress and I'll write that in. Like, I don't know. It just feels like a little brain melted concept.
Right. It's like the one guy's writing and everybody else, they're just all messed up from the heat. They're all just like, ha,
yeah.
ha, ha, ha. And then they watch dailies like at the end of the day and they see the footage and everybody's like, who's that?
You guys really liked this yesterday.
So I'm gonna talk about something that I assume that everyone feels like this is problematic, so it's not a hot take. But the wife character, the Asian wife, is it's rough. It's real rough.
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought I'd address it. I'm sure that everyone at home is like, talk about the ping pong girl.
Do we have to? There's so many other things that I'd rather talk about.
We don't have to go too far in depth. Just acknowledging that we saw it, it's problematic. One thing that two things about it that specifically intrigued me. One is that her fervor for wanting to perform, I think I found very funny. Like that moment she's sitting in the chair, sweating, staring at the cabinet, I thought was just it was cinematic genius.
Yeah.
Because we hadn't gotten to the worst part of it. The way her like, me so horny speak already was a problematic piece. And then the way that her whole arc ended was rough. But also, the other thing that intrigued me about it was that character, or that actress, played Rita Repulsa in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie.
Oh my god, that's her.
Oh, whoa.
Yep.
Whoa.
That's her.
Holy shit.
Wow.
So, and that was like a year after this. And so I love the idea of her going into a casting office and then being like, what else have you done? And she's like, oh boy, let me show ya.
I like to think that this is the Rita Repulsa origin story. Like, she was in this marriage. She desperately wanted to perform and didn't get a shot. Then her marriage falls apart. She's like, fuck it, I'm going to fight the Power Rangers.
Wow. I like how that adds up.
I'm going to turn the Green Ranger into a walrus. And then you're like, before you even see the credits, you're like, fucking Lex.
Oh, no.
No.
But that's the hallmark, right, of a great auteur and shit. It's that you know it's my work before you even see my name.
I'm a little scared now. This has gone on a little too long.
Nope. It's just the beginning.
Does he do this with every guest, or is this just me?
Oh, it's just you. You're the only one he feels free to expose his true self with. Everyone else, he's like hiding and he's meek and he's just like, yeah, this movie's really good. But inside he's like, oh, walrus man. And so like once they leave, he goes, I held it together, but I almost got him. But you bring it out of him and he's like, I feel safe with you.
Yeah. It was weird because I did make the whole thing with the Tusk podcast is I like promised we'd do it like years ago. And he's just like, are you ready yet? Now I get it.
I did not forget.
Yeah. Like a walrus, never forget.
I was like, I'm so close to getting everything I've ever wanted, and so I couldn't let it go.
It all adds up, it really does.
But he like had to make you do other movies beforehand, so he didn't come on too strong. It was like testing the water to see if he could really, like when you're setting boundaries and you're like, all right, here's the thing. I guess it's the opposite. When you're testing someone's boundaries because you're a bad person and you're like, here, I'm going to do this. And they're like, I guess I'll let that go. And you're like, I guess I'll do this. And they're like, I guess I'll let that one go too. And you're like, oh, I got them.
It's like the frog in the boiling water.
Right, of course.
If you turn them into a walrus very gradually, piece by piece by piece, they will not notice until one day they wake up and they have gone full walrus.
Oh my god!
And they look in the mirror and they can't really form words anymore. It's like, but they're thinking, who was I? Yeah, it's dark.
Yeah, very dark. Yikes bikes.
I'm not encouraging this behavior any longer. It was funny and now I'm scared.
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I pictured it as more of Lex transforming himself into a walrus and slowly being like, you like long teeth, right? And all of his friends being like, sure. And he's like, and then they're like, he's like, you know what? I feel like I've been going swimming more often. What do you guys think of that? And they're like, okay. And he's like, I love fish. What do you guys think about fish? And they're like, okay. And so like slowly, he's like getting them used to accepting the aspects of walrusry so that he can finally become the walrus he's always wanted to be.
And of course, like, my friends know me, and so they've known the entire time exactly what I'm getting at, but nobody wants to say it first, so everybody just lets me continue to dig this hole.
Because they want you, they don't want to, like, push you into doing it. They want you to feel comfortable enough to just let yourself become the walrus. Cuckoo, cuckoo.
Right.
And then, like, having that conversation, like, I think Lex is trying to be a walrus.
Right.
Like, right? He keeps eating raw fish and sharpening his... I don't know.
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're new." Yeah, he does this. This is his whole thing. We're waiting for him to verbally acknowledge it, but like it's his whole thing. He wants to be a walrus. Don't even worry about it. Just let him be, and he'll eventually do the full walrus thing. He's been saving up a long time. It's fine.
My big fear was that my 8-year-old son would not accept me as a walrus, but it turns out he's known the whole time and is completely on board.
Oh yeah, your son has actually had like a set of walrus teeth that he's been waiting to show you, and you've been avoiding him this whole time. It's a tragedy.
He's like, Dad, can we eat raw fish when we get home?
And I'm like, because I'm a walrus.
But like a single happy tear rolls down your face because it's the words you've been waiting your whole life to hear.
I'm just like, it is accomplished.
Oh boy. Speaking of the son, I really like the way that this played out. There was I guess it was a slow mystery throughout the movie where Hugo Weaving slowly unfolds his motives for going to this small town and helping out his wife. And so the first bit is he has a wife. Then the next bit is they're still married. Then the next bit is he doesn't know where his sexuality lies because of that. And then you find out he has a son, and it like takes you all the way back to the beginning where he got the news of his son's sex when he was in drag and stuff, and you have this whole scene. It's fun. But I also love how relatable that scene is, and this idea of like wrestling between what you think someone wants from you and who you truly are, and not knowing whether they're going to be able to accept that. And I really love how it plays out that like his son is super chill. His son's like, yeah, my mom had a girlfriend, and like, I hope you have a boyfriend because I fucking love dudes and I want to like hang out with a bunch of people because it's fun. I want to see your show. And Hugo is like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that I wanted to hear those words, and I do, and now I'm crying. You're crying too, right, audience? And everyone's like, yes.
That's accurate. That was my thought exactly. Yeah. Like, all they had to do was raise him not to be an asshole.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Also, kudos on her raising him.
Right.
Like, that's incredible. And look what you get. You get a kid that's not an asshole. It's pretty wild. Imagine. Also, I really liked that resort. I think I just miss going to places, but I was like, damn, I want to like get a giant daiquiri in that like smoky, like dark casino and like spin that wheel. Ugh, man. You guys miss things? I miss things so much.
I feel like in the future, pornography is just going to be footage of like interiors of nice places.
It's just going to be POVs of like hands just drinking a beer, waving to people, shaking hands. It's going to be so good.
It's like that when I like finish my work for the day, I'm going to put on Walking in
yeah.
the Hotel Lobby.
Ew.
Ooh, yeah, that's going to be my top one.
I'm going to put on a Concert.
And it just says concert. Like, no, the artist is not specified. The genre is not specified. You put it on and you can't even, it's just so like a weird hodgepodge of styles that you can't really describe to anybody what the sounds are. It just says concert.
It's like putting on the radio in The Sims.
Right.
But live.
What I like to do is I'll watch concert and then I'll mute it and put on my own music. That way, like, I can really set the mood, customize, you know. I also like the subset of concert where you choose where at the concert you are. So you're like, oh man, I pick front row and it has like vibrations, like people are pushing you and you hate yourself. Or like it's like seats and you get to just kind of stand up every so often and like it moves because you have to like move to get from behind someone who keeps standing up in front of you. Oh man. Ooh, yeah. That's my favorite. If you want to get really freaky, you can do DMV. it's like 2 hours long and you're mostly standing in line, and then someone sends you to the back of the line at some point, and then you're waiting around again just for someone to call a number that you stood in line for.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
I like that.
I just paid $60 for Sketchy Drug Deal, which has been out of print for a while.
Ooh. Yeah, because you have to do that, like, that really sneaky handshake exchange thing that you do.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. That's my favorite. After DMV and concert.
Now I'm just getting sad.
Because this seems like as plausible a future as us getting to return to things.
Yep.
Yep. It's pretty dark. It's pretty dark.
I mean, I don't know. I'd watch it. I mean, if not just for the technology, because like someone has to be in those environments and do it. So like at least just, you know, to make jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that would be if they were to remake The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert today. That's sort of what it would be, right? Like they don't go anywhere. There's no bus, or if there's a bus, they can't get off the bus, and they just stream and sell pre-recorded versions of their show so that we can watch it without going anywhere.
I wonder if they, in the musical version, are still lip syncing or if they actually sing the songs.
You got to think they're actually singing them, right?
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe like when it comes to the, like, it's not like a jukebox musical, in that like when it comes to the licensed songs, they do the like lip sync performance, but then they have songs about how they're feeling. So right after they finish doing Finally, like the character on stage goes to another area and is like, my 8-year-old son, will he accept me? Will he accept me? And then they're like, oh, I guess it's time to do the next song. And then they do the ABBA song, you know? Like, it could just go back and forth between that.
Yeah, I like that when they're doing their performances, you get the ABBA stuff, and then when they're not, it's like Les Mis.
I'm trying to figure that out. What's
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's nothing original.
Okay. In that case, there's room for us to make it.
So I think it's just generally like a drag show, but like with the plot. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
That's cool. That sounds fun.
All right. So I think we're getting to the end of our time. We're running out of time. Oh boy, our bus is breaking down, and ooh man, Bob can't fix it in time. So we just got to use the rest of our gas in the broken tank. So do you guys have any final thoughts about Priscilla, Queen of the Desert?
I guess for me, one of the biggest takeaways that I really haven't touched on yet is how I feel like even though these characters do take a great amount of abuse from certain people that find their way into their sphere, I do think this movie makes about as compelling a case as I've ever seen for sort of like taking up this type of work. Like, it looks so insanely fun, and it seems so like the joyfulness when they're really in their zone and in their groove and like really going for it, the way these characters are completely owning themselves. It's like in mask work, right? Like, part of what happens when you put on the costume, when you put on the makeup, when you put on the wig or whatever you've got on, yes, you are in a sense like covering up physical aspects in one way or another, but it enables parts of you that you maybe aren't always able to present. It enables those parts of you to be completely free. So like your truer self may actually come through in that way. And to be able to live that, right? To be able to boldly and fearlessly live in your fullest truth. I think it's incredible, and it's something that I think is truly enviable. Now, of course, as we see, there are elements of their experience that are otherwise, but I think it is so, I don't know, for me, I watch this movie and I'm like, oh, I absolutely see how I see the appeal of this. I actually see how, if it was me doing work like this, I see how absolutely joyfully fun this could be, you know? And I feel like, maybe that's one of the better compliments that I can give the movie. It's just like, it really successfully correlates their work with like pure joy and pure self-ownership. and I think it's fantastic. And it doesn't feel like it's something the movie gestures towards. It's something that I think is really effectively dramatized and works both on a sort of intellectual level, but also I think works exceptionally well on an emotional level. And like I said, like the stuff with the Hugo Weaving character and his relationship with his son, like it really, at the end of the movie, when they get to perform together, when it's Bernadette has stayed behind and it's the Hugo Weaving and Guy Pearce characters, and his son is in the audience watching and cheering him on and having an amazing time. It really did. It affected me emotionally, because to be your fullest, truest, boldest self requires bravery, requires fearlessness, and that is because there is always the chance, especially when your truest self is something that a lot of people will perceive as, quote unquote, not normal. You can be on the receiving end of a lot of abuse. And so it takes an incredible amount of boldness and strength to live in that truth. And so to see that his young son, there's not even a question of acceptance, of love, of yes, be your fullest self. And you're my dad and I love you so much and it's okay. And I support it. It's awesome. Like it really hit me, like in a pretty intense, profound way. I genuinely, like, I'll use the word, I think it's genuinely beautiful. I dug this movie a lot. So Caprice, thank you for bringing this to my attention, because this did a whole bunch for me.
Yay.
That's it.
What about you, Caprice? Do you have any final thoughts on the movie?
I mean, Lex hit it pretty hard. I was just basically going to talk on how it shows drag and how important it is to show it correctly. And I feel like this movie just knocks it out of the park, even for the age that it's at, and how drag is, it's gained so much popularity because of RuPaul and the show and everything. But this movie is so, because like even, Paris is Burning, even something like that, that's like another look at balls and the history of drag. It's, I mean, there's so much I can go into that. I'm not going to even go into that. But it's just nice that there is a film made in the early 90s that can, I mean, there are problematic things in it, obviously, but it's still done in a tasteful way that is still enjoyable and, can get you in a good mood. Also make you cry, but I feel like this movie generally gets you in a pretty good mood. And, I can appreciate that in these times of hell on earth. So.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with both things that you guys have said. And so I won't diminish it by adding my own thoughts because they're the same. So, Caprice, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
This has been super fun. Where can people find you if they want to talk to you about stuff, if they want to see you do things?
You can find my band, Lavaworks Inc. on Instagram at Lavaworks Inc. I'm also on Instagram at aun.twhispers. That's just like, you can see some film stuff that I've done. But yeah, if you wanna talk to me, make fun of me, come on by. I'll be around. I'm pretty bored. So.
Don't make fun of her. We will beat you up. Lex, if they want to make fun of you, though, where can they find you?
If you want to collab with me as we insert walrus content into every piece of media, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at TheLexMichael. And also, I do a podcast with my partner, Marianne Ramish, that is called Friends with Benefits, in which we break down the entirety of the massive pop culture juggernaut that is the television series Friends, of which she is a very big fan, and I am to date not. At all. And so we're going to be breaking this thing down episode by episode from a critical perspective and a fan perspective. It's streaming now on HBO Max, so you can watch it along with us. Friends with Benefits. Come check it out. We're having a real good time doing that. You can find it wherever you find your podcasts. And Tauri J, if people want to make fun of you, where can they do that?
Yeah, if you want to fucking roast me, bro, you can come to my Twitter at Tauri J, TaurijAY. Fucking tell me everything. Make me cry. But if you want to catch this podcast, you can do so on Twitter at Missing Outcast. That's MISSINGOUTCAST. Boo, 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 boo.
Oh, really quick. I promise I'm a walrus is not taken on Instagram.
This is your chance, Lex. Yeah.
Just putting it out there.
Oh boy. But yes, this is the end of our August series, All in the Kool-Aid. And we hope you've enjoyed our entries into this specific theme. Next month's theme is going to be Cinema Lit 101, baby, and you can bet it's about to be lit up in that bee. Lex, what does that even mean? What is this theme?
Well, so in the before time, September is around when a lot of people would be returning to academia in earnest. Obviously, at the moment, not necessarily the most advisable or viable option. So we figured, why don't we educate a little bit? Why don't we assign some coursework and shit?
Hell yeah.
What we're doing is we're going to be taking a look at adaptations of classical literature through a cultural prism that is different from the sort of cultural landscape from which the thing emerged. So, for example, William Shakespeare wrote Macbeth, which was later adapted as Throne of Blood by Akira Kurosawa. He transposed the material and set the story in feudal Japan. So that is a perfect example of the kind of thing we're going to be talking about. So y'all, you can get up on your classics and you could be like, thanks, missing out, for teaching me some stuff, because the world's on fire and everybody's like, ah, and they're not teaching me. And thank you for teaching me and not screaming. And we'll say, you're welcome.
Hell yeah. You know,
I'm so glad I got in on August, because I would be bad at this month. I'm like, where's all the zombies and the drag queens? I don't know.
Tusk is totally based on Faulkner, so we're going to talk about that.
Hell yeah. Yeah, no, we're just going to do variations of Hamlet. So, you know, a couple episodes of Gargoyles, the animated series. We're going to do Lion King. We're going to do Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet. What else is Hamlet?
There's the Mel Gibson Hamlet. There's Benedict Cumberbatch recorded on stage Hamlet.
Oh, yeah. I bought a manga in London that is a manga version of Hamlet. So we're going to do that also. I have to assume that there's a version of Hamlet starring Porky Pig, because that sounds funny, and I'm going to find it and we'll do that one too.
Oh.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
You could say we're going Hamlet.
Man.
Hell yeah. Okay. That's
This
enough.
ham is lit.
Thank you again, Caprice. This has been super fun. This has been super awesome.
So fun.
And thank y'all at home for listening. We hope that you enjoyed this month. We hope you enjoy next month. And we hope to see you next week. Until then, this has been the retrospective that is introspective.
And now you have a new perspective. And I still have a tanning bed inside me.
Time to get nice and tan in your guts.